I just real quick. I know it's going to have its own separate topic, but I just want to be the first to say shout out to Aaron Glenn and that defense, man. A lot of people, you got a lot of hate, for the past like couple of years, and he finally got some pieces he could work with, and guys got cohesiveness in the backfield too, and now you're starting to see like the work. And I understand it was against Mac Jones. I understand today was against Anthony Richardson, but you just saw Bryce Young and the Panthers take the Kansas City Chiefs to the closing seconds of that game. You got to take the hat off, at this league to do what he did. 10 consecutive quarters without a touchdown.
Yeah. So, what are you smiling at, Herman?
Oh no, I'm nothing. Go ahead, please. By all means.
No. First of all, it was nice to see Sonic and Knuckles doing well. Too many injuries for my liking, obviously. And then the other thing that I thought was noteworthy and hilarious was that all their graphics are like, this is the only time since 1930 that this has happened. We're showing the graphics from the 1930s and we're introducing us to that team. So a lot of history being made this year, which is pretty awesome.
I if I had to add anything to it, first, always, I like to come in and say what up to everybody. I appreciate everyone jumping on the stream and jumping on, taking time out. We always like to acknowledge our people for coming in. Thank you. We appreciate it. I was mixed a little bit on it. I thought offensively, the team was a little flat early on. Yes, Indianapolis, as we've seen with some of these other teams, they seem to have figured out how to stack the line, how to bring certain pressure, how to, kind of really plug up some of those gaps on the offensive line and make them have to figure it out versus just marching straight down the field and have their way. But I'm still really concerned. And although the defense played well, we'll get into the deeper parts of it because you got to peel back the layers. How much of it was the defense actually stopped Indy in the red zone and how much of that was Indy stopping themselves? And I can point to 3 plays that changes the look and the closeness of the game. Spence, I know when you first talked about, how you play, giving kudos, we're giving shout outs to Aaron Glenn, and then also with you, Easy, as far as, acknowledging some of the things they're doing. It was if the score was technically like not considered a blowout, when that's a pretty good win, it's a lot closer than what I think it appeared. So that's just me. We'll get into that. But again, shout out to everyone. At the end of the day, a win is a win is a win is a win. Don't care. So I'm going to take that every day.
And that's all it is. A win is a win is a win. You were down a bunch of guys, and you still got the job done. And like you said, shout out to everybody in the chat. Smash the like button. Make sure you subscribe to Lions Nation Unite. Super Bowl Wilson, Lisa, Jay Cruzen, Mile Marker, Juices Ghost, Doughboy Steve, E-Fog, PK, everybody in the chat. We appreciate you tapping in. We're going to get into your comments, and we're going to take a lot of your questions going throughout the show. But first things first. CZ, Herman, you guys got the merch on. You're wearing the hoodies, and we saw it. Sonic and Knuckles take advantage of this defense. By the way, go to Lions Nation Night Twitter, follow the steps. You could win a Sonic and Knuckles shirt for free because they both scored touchdowns in this game. Tell them about the merch, what we got going before we get into the game for sure.
Yeah, so super excited about the merch. So we've got them in their white, black, and blue jerseys. Very, very awesome. My favorite part that actually you don't see is I love the Lions Nation Unite in the video game text on the back. That's actually my favorite part. Right now we have 10% off using LNU fam. I'll actually put up the banner until 10 o'clock. So this is just for our people that are here in the chat with us. So I wanted you guys to get 10% off, but I'm really excited. And we will have more designs coming out pretty soon. So get ready for all that. And Herman had some nice videos showcasing the blankets and stuff as well, which look pretty sweet.
Yeah. And this style and flair, I'm just telling you, it's pretty cool. I'm excited. She's giving you a little bit of what happened here, but she got with our design team, got with a couple of guys that she has on our team that she oversees for design work. They came up with a theme. We're going to be putting quite a few of these together. As you can imagine, we're not done with just these two. There are a lot more of the players that are really getting it. We know this is a team sport, but we know there are some fan favorites, and we want to make sure that we jump in on that and make sure we supply you with some nice LNU gear, inspired gear. So again, that's it on that end. So what we got next, fellas? young lady, what do we want to hit next? Because I'm ready to dive in and go deep with this one. Let's go.
One thing real quick I want to say, Herman, that I think is so interesting is the whole idea about the Colts beating themselves and how we keep having these conversations every week. That was always what the teams were saying about the Lions and what the Lions were saying about themselves, the fans. We beat ourselves. We would have been better if we would have just not made mistakes. We could have won. So what's the difference, and how many truly elite teams that play to their caliber every week actually are out there? Or is this what typically happens in the NFL? We're just actually on the other side of it right now.
That's where I wanted to get into a deeper discussion, a deeper dive with this. And I would love for everyone to continue to throw your comments in, give feedback on anything that we're saying, even ask your questions. But we talk about what makes a team different in terms of style, talent, discipline, all these things. I see this Lions team as being a more disciplined team. If you look at where the penalties that were committed by the Colts versus what was committed by the Lions when they were both having not a struggling a drought scoring, but the game was close. That was really the difference. Some had to go with touchdowns. Lions end up with touchdowns. They end up with field goals, right? And then when you look deeper into this team, you look in deeper in what's happening, the teams that are going to be playing consistent football, understand you're not going to get those takeaways that we're kind of accustomed to seeing our safeties come up with. We're not going to. We've gotten spoiled and not seeing close football games where, you don't feel kind of at fear that this is going to be over with, but you think that this team still needs to pull away from this team, and they're not. So you get a little concerned. I just think that there are still some holes here that will get exposed, and we can get to it when we get, like I said, from the line. I thought did a much better job defensively. The secondary, I think, still struggles on the man-to-man coverage. I think there's exposure against the play action. I think offensively, teams really have figured out how to come after our running game, but I think our running backs and their effort is what's getting those extra yards. If you look at the initial contact where they're getting hit to where they're breaking tackles and making things happen, that's really the athleticism, the ability of the running back, more so than the defense was right. They just couldn't make the tackle. All right. And then again, trying to figure out St. Brown, Gibbs, there's a classic play, and I'll be in on this, where you look at Jared Goff, they play levels offensively. Teams are going to figure out that they play the middle of the field. They don't hit a lot on the outside. So are the Lions setting teams up for the postseason, or that's going to be their bread and butter, their live and die? That's all I got from it. And it's pretty predictable when I look at it from that sense.
Yeah, and one thing I look at that has been consistent throughout these past couple games, we know it's Mac Jones, we know it's Rudolph, and now it's Anthony Richardson here. This is 10 straight quarters that Aaron Glenn and this defense have not allowed an opposing offense to score a touchdown. In the NFL, in the National Football League, where you have some of the greatest athletes in the world, highly tuned offenses, a league built for offensive football, 10 straight quarters without a touchdown allowed, missing your MVP in Aiden Hutchinson, missing in this game your captain and Alex Anzalone, both starting cornerbacks go down in this game, and it's still 10 straight quarters without a touchdown allowed. Aaron Glenn, hats off to you. He is the best coordinator in the NFL. It's crazy what he's doing with this team.
I have a feeling I know what Herman's getting.
Some Kool-Aid.
No, I'm gonna go ahead. Finish what you're doing.
No, I'm spinny. Like, I'll put you this way. I get. Obviously, I said what I had to say about Aaron Glenn, and that's truly how I feel. I do see where Herman's coming from, though. When you got a situation where there was a seam ball dropped by that tight end, there's a touchdown drop by another tight end. But just the where I can counter that, though, is you also had your backup cornerback out there. You also missed like your starting linebacker. Those guys will be back. Obviously, knock on wood, come playoff time. You know what I'm saying? So I still think we provide efficient enough defense. You know what I'm saying? Even with some key guys missing too. Not just any guys. It's Alex Anzalone. It's your starting corner all year, Taron Arnold. It's your starting defensive end, and Aiden Hutchinson. Like, you miss some key guys, you're still producing. And you know what? Give them that touchdown. We're still up by double digits with a W in this one. You know.
So I feel like I need the Price is Right. You lost like tune to come in for you, just like
Dun, 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 dun.
like you're just gonna come in and be that guy. Go ahead.
All right, so Easy's kind of hit it. So Spence, I'm telling you, man, I was coming for you. I was gonna, and not so much for the reason that people think it is not to attack the team. Like, think about this: if you have areas that are weak or areas that have exposure, you don't hide behind them. You just acknowledge them. Like they're broke. There's some issues with what they have in terms of how they play man. I'm just telling you, there's issues. I don't care if they're playing. Put Terry and Arnold back out there. I don't think you're going, okay, one is a liability potentially against pass interference because of the fact that they're young, not because he's not a good player, not that he won't eventually turn in. Look at Darius Slay, turn into a shutdown All-Pro Bowl cornerback. Terry and Arnold, his book and chapter is yet to be written. I'm not even worried about him. That he's going to get better. But defensively, when you have to replace someone and teams go, we're going after that guy, it's a problem. So here's what we had. Indianapolis goes down. They have an opportunity. Instead of going up 7-0, they go up 3-0. Okay. Yeah. Defense didn't stop them. Indy stopped themselves. They basically had 1st and goal at the 1 yard line. And, from there, what happens, right? You get a holding penalty that goes back. You don't recover. We know how that works in the red zone. It's too tough. They're not a team that can just attack you that way. Tight end goes in. You don't get an opportunity where Richardson's going to throw passes like he threw. And you can see his inaccuracies as a quarterback. But ultimately, when he did have shots, whether it's big plays where he missed open players, who definitely got behind the defense, to where there were players who had opportunities where the ball was just past their fingertips that could have been big plays that would have led to potentially field goals, right? Then you get down to the tight end, he drops the ball. That's a touchdown. He drops it. So the defense didn't stop him. And that's the part I was going to say, listen, okay, I get it. Kept him out the end zone. No, they had miscues. Okay, they got there. And it wasn't about what the defense did.
But there's no moral victories. All that matters is if you pull out the W.
I get that. All I'm saying is when we talk about fixing something, they can't fix another team who has a competent quarterback and a receiver that will catch those passes and a line that will be disciplined and not hold when they didn't even have to hold down inside of the red zone, inside of the 10. And so all I'm saying is that those are things when I'm looking at as I'm a coach, you have to clean those things up. That's an exposure piece. Kudos again. No problem. I give them all the credit because ultimately you're coming away with the win. You're doing what you're supposed to do. I think Aaron Glenn, it's going to be tough to hold on to him. I think Ben Johnson, it's going to be hard to keep him. Maybe you can keep him for another year or so, but that's it. They're gone. So that's all. No pessimism. Listen, no pessimism. No beating down. But that's like saying, hey, man, it looks like if you don't go get that scar or whatever taken care of, it's going to get infected and it's going to turn in. You'll end up losing your arm. That's all I'm saying. You got, I'm not ignoring it.
Okay, but if I hold on, Herman, hold on. You're the king of debate. The king of debate, right? You like to pride yourself on the ability to debate, right? Argue against yourself right now. That'll show your ability to actually debate.
It's going to be hard to do it because I'm coming from a place where when you're in the locker room and these things happen, the first thing you don't do is beat your chest. You go, great win. We came away. We did what we were supposed to do. That's about as good as it's going to get for you. I don't care if you're the MVP. I don't care if America's going, hey, you know what? That guy or that team or whatever is the greatest thing since sliced bread. The coach is going to go, you know what? We got a lot of work to do. We got some things we got to clean up if we're ultimately going to go to this place of destination that requires excellence.
There you go.
Yeah. Right. There it is. Right. When you require excellence, you don't make excuses for when you win. Just because you win doesn't mean you necessarily did what you were supposed to accomplish. That means you continue to play on another day. Yeah. But that's it. That's it. And this team is different, man.
I didn't really want to put that comment up, by the way, but I didn't reluctantly.
What? I missed
that you were speaking the truth. I didn't really want to put it up there, but
yeah, no. Shout out to everybody in the chat: PK, Arf, Aaron Mays, Corey Patterson, Dale, Aquaman, E-Fog, everybody in the chat. We appreciate it. PK JR says, I agree. This week is a really good game for shining light on our defects, and this is one thing that like we're talking about defects. We're talking about these lapses in coverage for a team that hasn't allowed a touchdown in 10 quarters. Like at some point it goes from lucky misses to, okay, they're doing something. And if anybody told me that the Lions defense would be top 5 in the NFL this year without Aiden Hutchinson, I would tell you you're crazy. And they're making up for it. We saw Malcolm Rodriguez comes in, has 8 tackles, a huge tackle for loss. Not going to talk about Kendall Fuller. We got the dub, all right? We got the win, but on top of just continuously winning battles, your guys that are going to be your guys that are still there, like Ali McNeil and Josh Pascal and Brian Branch, stepped up and made plays when you needed them to.
The only thing I'd say against Herman's comments too is like some plays, they're genuine flags, and you got to give it to the defensive effort. Like there was one play where Josh Pascal split that double team, and my man had no choice but to tackle him. Stop him from pursuing like Anthony Richardson. The pick play, like those are genuine penalties versus like bonehead mistakes. You know what I'm saying? And you got to give the defense a little bit of credit. And not every play was a penalty. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes, like some of us were just making plays, but there absolutely was a drop touchdown. I won't ignore that one. And I won't ignore that dropped one up the seam. And then they shoot themselves in the foot. But come on, now. We got to give this defense some credit. They're missing a lot of people here.